혹시 아마 얘가 계속 봐.
미국산 아들이 미국 대각이 빨리 이제 빨리 노래 뭐더라 노래 시작. 야 노래 없이 시작하더라. 아이씨, 아. 와, 작더라. 한 직진하라. 오늘 소리를 직진하라. 내가 많이 나는 나와도 돼.
제29회 WBSC 기장세계 청소년 야구 선수권 대회 제7일차에 이번 기장 현대차 뒷볼파크를 찾아주신 여러분을 환영하며 감사 말씀을 드립니다.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome, and thank you for attending today's game at Dream Ballpark in Gijang City for the WBSC U-18 Baseball World Cup 2019.
관중 여러분, 제29회 WBSC 기장세계 청소년 야구 선수권 대회 호주와 미국의 경기를 시작하겠습니다.
Today's competition features Team Australia versus Team USA.
양팀 선수단을 소개해드리겠습니다. 먼저 호주 선수단입니다.
Introducing today's lineup. First, the visiting team, Australia.
감독 스티브 피쉬,
Manager, Steve Fish.
코치 타이런 해블렛,
Coach, Karen Hambley.
코치 게러스 로버트 존스,
Coach, Gareth Robert Jones.
코치 그레인 로이드,
Coach, Graham Lloyd.
1번 타자 트래비스 바사나,
Batting first, Travis Bazana.
2번 타자 제일린 레이,
Batting second, Jalen Ray.
3번 타자 크리스 버크,
Batting third, Chris Burke.
4번 타자 코너 마일스,
Batting fourth, Connor Miles.
5번 타자 솔로몬 맥가이어,
Batting fifth, Salomon Mcguire.
6번 타자 바이런 암스트롱,
Batting sixth, Byron Armstrong.
7번 타자 리언 맥도날드,
Batting seventh, Liam McDonald.
8번 타자 제이크 번스,
Batting eighth, Jake Burns.
9번 타자 조 스티븐스,
Batting ninth, Joe Stevens.
타자 리언 맥컬럼,
Today's starting pitcher, Liam Mccallum.
그의 예비 선수들입니다.
And the rest of Team Australia.
이어서 미국 선수단입니다.
For Team USA, today's home team.
감독 잭 레빗,
Manager, Jack Leggett.
코치 스콧 베이커,
Coach, Scott Bankhead.
터치 제럴 레이어,
Coach Gerald Layer.
터치 그레그 리치,
Coach Greg Ritchie.
1번 타자 핏 크로 암스트롱,
Batting first, Pete Crow Armstrong.
2번 타자 로버트 헤슬,
Batting second, Robert Hassel.
3번 타자 AJ 부코비치,
Batting third, AJ Vukovich.
4번 타자 타일러 서더스트롬,
Batting fourth, Tyler Sutterstrong.
5번 타자 놀란 맥컬렌,
Batting fifth, Nolan McLean.
1번 타자 콜비 홀터,
Batting sixth, Colby Halter.
7번 타자 드루 로버,
Batting seventh, Drew Romo.
8번 타자 밀란 톨렌티노,
Batting eighth, Milan Tolentino.
9번 타자 헌터 하우스,
Batting ninth, Hunter Haas.
타자 맥스 레지,
Today's starting pitcher, Max Reggie.
그의 예비 선수들입니다.
And the rest of Team USA.
다른 본 경기를 진행할 심판위원을 소개해드리겠습니다. 주심 파나마의 르네 건살레스, 이루심 쿠바의 엘베스토 데 리스코, 이루심 한국의 강시도, 3루심 중국의 티안 이왕. 이상 네 분께서 수고해 주시겠습니다.
Today's umpires are home plate, Mr. Rene Gonzalez from Panama. First base, Mr. Ernesto Del Risco from Cuba. Second base, Mr. Kang Xin-hu from Republic of Korea. Third base, Mr. Tian Yi-wang from China.
호주와 미국의 국가가 연주되겠습니다. 양팀 선수 및 가족 여러분께서는 모자를 벗고 기립하여 국기를 향하여 주시기 바랍니다.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and remove your caps as we play the national anthems of Australia and USA.
먼저 호주 국가 연주가 있겠습니다.
First, the visiting team, Australia.
이어서 미국 국가 연주가 있겠습니다.
And then the home team, United States of America.
Good afternoon and welcome to Gijang-Hyundai Dream Ballpark in Gijang, Korea for day one of the Super Round at this 2019 WBSC U-18 Baseball World Cup. Our first matchup, a great one here between Australia and the United States. Australia, the surprise team of the opening round, coming into the Super Round as the only unbeaten club with a 2-0 record. There's a whole pile of teams, 4 of them tied at 1-1. With Canada, the only team winless, heading in to the start of the Super Round on this gorgeous Thursday afternoon in Gijang. A look at the 2 lineups gathered around home plate. That's Jack Leggett from the United States, and it's Steve Fish from Australia. And Steve Fish teams, what a 24 hours it has been for them. Going into yesterday's game, which was a makeup game played on what was supposed to be a day off, a day of rest, they needed to win to advance to the Super Round. A loss yesterday against Canada, they'd be playing in the consolation round. Instead, a win, and they are on top at 2-0 in the Super Round. And boy, was it a game for Australia to get here. They won that game 7-6, a game that featured a number of lead changes and one which the team held on to with the tying run on third in the bottom of the 9th. You see the breeze blowing out to center field, left center field at times. It's hot and sunny, 28 degrees Celsius. That's up in the mid-80s in terms of Fahrenheit. You see the 80% chance of rain. There's always a chance of rain here, but it doesn't look like this game at least will be threatened, with blue skies overhead as well as the bright sunshine shining down. Australia, the visitors in this one. That was determined by coin toss. Travis Bazzana then will lead off. Jalen Ray bats second, and Chris Burke will be the third man to bat here in the top half of the first inning. 4, 5, 6, it's Miles, Mcguire, and Armstrong, with Liam McDonald, the first baseman, batting 7th, Jake Burns, the catcher, batting 8th, and Joe Stevens at third base, rounding out Steve Fish's starting lineup. See the big smile on Steve Fish's face. The surprise team here, 7th in the world, 1st in the Super Round, at least as of right now. A strong defensive team here from the United States, meanwhile, has Robert Hassel in left field, Pete Crow Armstrong in center, and A.J. Vukovich in right. Nolan McLean at first, Hunter Haas at second, Milan Tolentino at short, and Colby Halter at third. Drew Romo is doing the catching today, and the impressive young right-hander Max Rajic is on the mound. Inside the dugouts, the first year leading the U-18 program for Jack Leggett here in a World Cup year. And our umpires from Panama, Cuba, Korea, and China, Rene Gonzalez calling the balls and strikes. Ernesto Del Risco from Cuba's at first. Kong Shin Oo, the Korean umpire, at second. And Wang Tan Yi, Chinese umpire, is at third base. The ball goes down to second, and we are ready to begin. We have an on-time departure for you, which is great news for everybody involved in this tournament. A look at the Super Round standings. Before the first pitch is thrown, Australia 2-0, Japan, Korea, Chinese Taipei, and the United States, the top 4 teams in the world, all bunched together at 1-1, and Canada with the steepest of all uphill climbs to try and reach the World Championship final on Sunday. We'll look at all the scenarios. We'll keep you updated on all the action around the tournament throughout the day as we see ball 1 miss high from Rajic. The righty peers through the glove, turns, and fires a fastball low, and we're off to a 2-0 start. The pitch speed will be given in kilometers per hour. I'll do my best to translate in real time into miles per hour. That went up at 147, which is approaching 90 miles per hour. When you get up around 150, that's when you get into the 90s. And now a 3-0. And it's good enough for strike 1. As the arm loosening up a little bit, each pitch has been just a little bit faster than the one before it. We'll see if Bazzana's taking here 3-1. He is, and he's taking a strike. He'll have to pick up the bat and head back into the left-handed box. Ooh, we'll see if that pitch is a strike all day. Now grounded back to the hill, and what a turn from what looked for a moment to be a leadoff walk to a ground out back to the hill.
이번 타자 적수
One down to start the game.
Now batting number 5, left field, Jalen Ray.
That's how it started. The United States coming out of Group B, Australia winning Group A. Consolation round is underway as well. There's a game being played right now between Nicaragua and South Africa. South Africa, one of two unbeaten teams in the tournament. But for our purposes, we'll focus on the super round. And the 0-1 pitch coming from Rajic. That's a little bit upstairs, a ball and a strike. Jalen Ray in the tournament has 9 hits to lead his club. He's 9 for 17. He scored 4 runs, hasn't driven any in. And he hits this ball out to right center field. Really well hit and under the glove of the diving Pete Crow Armstrong. Around second, heading for third. It'll be a triple with 1 out. And Jalen Ray has his Australian fans going wild here in the top of the first.
Now batting number 14, designated hitter, Chris Burke.
A fastball right out over the heart of the plate, thigh high. We've seen Pete Crow Armstrong make some great plays already in this tournament. Couldn't get to that one though. As the Aussies look to take a first inning lead, the first pitch, kind of a strange looking swing from Chris Burke, who's a catcher, playing DH today. He's 7 for 21 with 3 doubles in the tournament. Only 1 run batted in. And another half-hearted wave and a miss, and a great bounce back from Rajic, the Californian, who had that one running away from the left-handed hitter to go up 0-2. He sets and delivers, and it's a 3-pitch strikeout. And there's 2 away with Jalen Ray still on third.
세븐 타자 에이스 공원
Really not a very competitive at bat from Burke, whose first 2 swings really just looked like he was going through the motions, and then that last one he missed by a pretty significant margin. Salomon Mcguire, the batter here, trying to pick up the 2-out RBI and ahead 1-0. Rajic working from the windup as this one chopped foul towards the on-deck circle. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mostly fastballs here from Rajic in the first. 1-1. Outside, 2 balls and a strike. It's the second appearance of the tournament for Max Rajic. The other against Chinese Taipei. He earned the victory, giving up 1 run on 4 hits in 5 2/3. He falls behind Connor Miles here, as that one was up at 150 kilometers per hour, which is 93 miles per hour. 3-1 pitch, big swing, and at 151. The count goes full. Miles very still in the box, waits for a big pitch, swings and misses, strike 3. Max Rajic with back-to-back strikeouts, stranding Jalen Ray at third and sending us home in the first with the United States coming to bat in a scoreless ball game.
그러나 수비에 들어가 호주의 수비 위치를 말씀드리겠습니다. 투수 리안 맥컬럼, 타수 제이크 번스, 1루수 리안 맥도널드, 1루수 트래비스 라자나, 3루수 스티븐스, 일격수 바른 아스트롱.
Pete Crow Armstrong's going to lead us off in the bottom of the first. Robert Hassel and A.J. Vukovich to follow. Tyler Soderstrom, the designated hitter, and then Nolan McLean and Colby Halter in the middle of the lineup. Drew Romo, the catcher, bats 7th. Milan Tolentino, the shortstop, bats 8th. And Hunter Haas is rounding out Jack Leggett's starting 9.
Third base, Joe Stevens.
Australia putting a runner on third in the top half of this first inning, failing to score. It was Jalen Ray who wound up stranded on third. He's your left fielder today for Australia. Mcguire in center, Miles in right. Third to first in the infield, it's Stevens, Armstrong, Bazana, and Liam McDonald. Jake Burns, longtime member of this Australian national program, doing the catching. And on the hill, Liam Mccallum. Huge assignment for Mccallum today. You could argue it's probably the biggest game he's pitched in his life. A big reason why his team is here, but somebody they'll look to give him everything he has as he gets underway with a first pitch fastball inside. A check swing on what was at least the start of a bunt attempt from Pete Crow Armstrong. There's the strikeout that wrapped up the top of the first inning. Now this lefty-lefty matchup, another bunt attempt, this one in play, and an underhand flip and an easy out to get things started in the home half of the first inning. Pete trying to bring that ball up the first base line with him, but instead basically sending it right back towards Mccallum. And with one away, we'll see Hassel. Another lefty-lefty matchup atop the lineup. The pitch drops in for a strike. Liam Mccallum, just 17 years old, from Sydney in New South Wales. Has this one lined the other way, and it drops in left field for a one-out single.
Vukovich.
Now batting number 30, right field, AJ Vukovich.
Not the same overpowering stuff from Mccallum as you saw from Rajic in the top half of this first inning. He'll have to rely on pinpoint accuracy. And he leaves the first one away from AJ Vukovich. He'll have to limit the running game too. Obviously has an advantage. And it's 1-1. Mccallum, no stranger to international competition. He was part of the U-15 World Cup squad. He'll set out the letters and deliver low. 2 balls, 1 strike. So far in Gijang, this American squad has not really struggled to put up runs. They've hit over 300, and now a pickoff, and out at near second base is Hassel. We told you you'd have to limit the running game, and right there, Robert Hassel just got off to a bit of a premature start. And that's tough to defend against as a runner. And all of a sudden, 2 outs, the base is empty, and a 2-1 pitch that's grounded to short that should end the inning. Armstrong to first, and the side retired. A hit, but nothing else. Will go to the second with no score here, and a good one between the United States and Australia.
이어서 호주 공격 5번 타자 진간수 솔로몬 맥과이어.
Top of second inning. Now batting number 10, center field, Salomon Mcguire.
You see the big puffy clouds up there beyond the outfield wall. It's a pleasant sight, trust me, after the thick gray clouds we've been playing under for what feels like forever. It's actually just been the last 4, maybe 5 days after the tournament got off to a sunny start last weekend. We were very fortunate to get all 30 games played in the opening round, and we'll hope for this fair weather to continue going forward in the Super Round. A 1-1 start, meanwhile, on Salomon Mcguire, the center fielder. A runner on third for the Aussies in the top of the first. Now a ball sent out to center field, really well hit. Pete Crow Armstrong goes up and takes it off the wall. We've seen him out there do that very same thing. Very comfortable here at field 2. And a ball that got a lot of the plate. Look at the patience from Pete Crow Armstrong, timing that leap perfectly and taking what would have been extra bases away from Mcguire. Strike 1 to Armstrong. Now you'll notice, you may have on that last fly ball, if you haven't before today, that there's the blue wall and then an additional 8 feet of mesh netting atop it. The blue wall is 8 feet high, the mesh netting is 8 feet high, so the fence is 16 feet high all the way around the outfield. It's not easy to get a ball out of here. It's 312 feet down the lines in left and right, 360 to the power alleys. The ball down in the dirt, 2-2. The ball hit by Mcguire might have had enough to make it over the blue wall if it hadn't been hauled in by Pete Crow Armstrong, as we see a cold third strike on the outside corner for his third K. Keep in mind, if a ball makes it over the blue wall, it's not a home run. It's got to go over the yellow stripe on top of the mesh netting. So the great catch, a strikeout, and Liam McDonald is charged with trying to extend the inning. It's a fastball right down Main Street for strike 1. McDonald hitting 111, 2 hits in 18 at-bats at the tournament. The very long-legged first baseman for this Aussie squad. Rajic shook off a sign before bringing the breaker in and falling behind 2-1. It's been a steady diet of fastballs here from Max Rajic. This is his 30th pitch. Hit high and hard out to right field. Hopping to his left, making the catch for the out that retires the side is Vukovich. 1-2-3. Goes Australia in the top of the second. The United States coming up, trying to open the scoring when we come back with the bottom of the second. Each team with a hit in the first inning. Then Max Rajic survived a deep fly ball to work a 1-2-3 top of the second. We'll see what Liam Mccallum does with the 4, 5, 6 hitters for the Americans. Tyler Soderstrom to lead off. Soderstrom, McLean, and Halter. Lefty on lefty yet again, swinging a foul tip, strike one. It was an 8-pitch, bottom of the first from Liam Mccallum. He helped himself with a pickoff after giving up the single to Hassel. Now it's 1-1. Soderstrom, 5 hits in the tournament so far. A couple of extra base hits, couple of doubles, and a team best 9 runs batted in. 1-1, grounded hard at first. A little bobble, and that's going to cost Australia. McDonald had it, and then he looked to go a little casually in the exchange from the glove to the throwing hand. And by the time he recovered, he couldn't win a foot race, and he didn't have anybody to flip it to.
Now batting number 13, first base.
And aboard to begin the inning for the United States is Soderstrom. We'll await the scorer's decision on whether or not that bobble cost Soderstrom a hit. It did not. It's an infield single. And here's McLean, the first baseman. Big swing for strike one. See that pitch at 118 in terms of kilometers per hour. That's just 73 miles per hour. Grooves it here, but gets strike two. We haven't seen Mccallum up over 135, which is in the low 80s in terms of miles per hour. That 130 pitch was 81. 0-2. Good job to fight it off and stay alive by McLean. Both of these two teams playing yesterday. Both winning yesterday. The United States 5-3 over Panama. Australia 7-6 in a thriller over Canada. That was the win that not only got the Aussies into the Super Round, but put them atop the Super Round standings. Another 0-2 pitch, meanwhile, swung on and missed, strike three. First strikeout of the afternoon for Liam Mccallum. And Soderstrom remains on first base after his leadoff infield hit. The Super Round standings, for those of you wondering why they factor in just 2 games, they only factor in the games that teams have played against other teams that wound up advancing to the Super Round, as this bunt is popped up back to the mound. 2 poor bunts through the first 6 at-bats for this United States squad. Pete Crow Armstrong dropped a bunt down leading off last inning, bunted it on the ground at least, but right back to the pitcher, Mccallum, who had no trouble making the flip to first, and he has even less trouble catching this little popper back to him. Kind of unusual for a U.S. squad to have 2 of its first 6 hitters bunt. And now strike one to Drew Romo, the catcher. Gotta believe Halter made that decision to bunt on his own. Certainly not a sacrifice situation with 1 out and the runner on first, especially this early in the game. And now a ball driven out to left field. Long run for Ray. He dives. Does he have it? Oh, yeah, he does. And that'll end the second inning. Terrific play from Jalen Ray. And we'll go to the third with no score between Australia and the United States.
3회 초 허즈 공격 8번 타자 버즈 제이크 번스.
Top of third and one. Now batting number 16, catcher, Jake Burns.
See a group of young Americans making their way back towards the third base side dugout. A group of Aussies here to cheer on their team. It's scoreless as we begin the third. I'm Craig Durham, happy to have you with me here for day one of the Super Round, and what a matchup between world number 7 Australia, the team atop the Super Round standings, and world number 2 the United States. Down and in, 1-0 as Rajic faces Burns, Stevens, and Bazana. 8-9-1 in the Australian lineup. Swinging a foul back into the netting. A ball and a strike. These two teams both bringing a lot of fans with them here to Korea. We're on the southeast coast of the Republic of Korea. A 1-1 pitch, hammered up the middle. That's a base hit for Burns, and it's his first hit of the tournament. Jake Burns, just 16 years of age, the youngest player on his team's roster, one of the youngest players in the tournament, somebody who competed last August in Panama at the U-15 Baseball World Cup. Driving one up the middle against the reigning Orange County Baseball Pitcher of the Year. Rajic, a rising senior from Southern California who's committed to stay in Southern California to play his college ball. Missing high with ball one, dealing with Joe Stevens, who showed bunt there. Now the bunt chopped off the plate. Back to Rajic, will have one play, and he makes it at first. A successful sacrifice, 1-3, moves Burns into scoring position. Back to the top of the order. Bazana, the lefty, down 0-1. Seeing a little bit more off-speed stuff from Rajic now. Peering in, he has the sign he wants from Romo with a glance back at second. He delivers and goes up 0-2. Bazana's been locked into the leadoff spot for this Australian team. 3 hits in the tournament so far. 3 runs batted in, too. Australia's team average coming into today, 277. The U.S. up over 300 at 312 after the opening round. This is a tournament, though, that's not really built about individual numbers. Bazana just missing that one, but getting enough, obviously, to see at least one more. Here it comes, the 0-2. And it's the curveball, called strike 3. Totally fooled Bazana, who knew it before he heard it, spun around, started walking back to the dugout as soon as it popped Drew Romo's mitt. The knee buckler. And here's Jalen Ray. Back to it for strike 1. That was the 40th pitch thrown by Max Rajic. He's already stranded one man in scoring position. It was Ray after he tripled in the first inning, and now he's hitting the head. That one took a pretty healthy bounce off his helmet right into the Australian dugout, but it again was a curveball.
Now
3
batting
straight
number 14,
curveballs.
designated hitter,
Ouch.
Chris Burke.
It's one way to get on base, I guess. Rays aboard for the second time, and it's first and second with 2 outs. Chris Burke, 0 for 1 with a strikeout. It really wasn't a competitive at-bat when he came up with Ray on third and only 1 out. Back in the first inning, now he nearly pokes it down the left field line fair. Instead, it's strike 1. More of that good curveball. They've all been good here in the third, with the exception of the one that slipped and just plunked Ray's helmet. Now Max Rajic 1 pitch away from picking up his 2nd strikeout of the inning, his 5th of the game, his 0-2 in the air to shallow center field, but Pete Crow Armstrong is there and has it for the out that retires the side. No runs, 1 hit, 2 left through 2.5. No score in the United States coming up.
카나다 리그 공격 8번 타자 이격수 밀란 톨렌티노.
Bottom of
Come on, the
third
boys!
inning.
Let's
Now batting
go!
number 6, shortstop,
Come
Milano.
on, Dave!
No score as we get set to start the bottom half of the third inning. And we'll start the bottom of the third right where we started the top half with Tolentino, the 8-hitter. Then Haas and Pete Crow Armstrong. Liam Mccallum on this hot, sunny, sticky Thursday afternoon in Gijang is going to rely on that rosin bag. Both pitchers will. They'll try to keep the ball down with the wind still howling out towards left field. First pitch strike to Milan Tolentino. A well-balanced lineup from this United States squad, which really does feature an awful lot of left-handed bats against the lefty starter. A curveball hit high in the air out to right. Grab made though by Miles, and 1 out. Liam Mccallum has been the more economical of the 2 pitchers. You've got Rajic up over 40 pitches, nearing 45 after his 3 innings of work, and you see there Mccallum with just 20 pitches as he pours strike 1 into Haas. Off the end of the bat. Armstrong at short, 2 outs. You can see why Australia saved Liam Mccallum for this one. They got a lot of really good starts in that opening round. Some really tight games. Felt like every Australia game was decided by just a run, and they almost all were. As the curveball is in for a strike. And a line drive here that's gonna fall fair and probably go for extra bases. Pete Crow Armstrong thinking about 3. He's on his way there. The throw, a little bit offline, and that's enough for Pete Crow Armstrong to record the 2-out triple. The throw pulled Joe Stevens off the third base bag, just a few steps up that left field line. What speed and what coverage as he went down to get that curveball. And what a slow roll into the corner. Connor Miles with a good throw out to Travis Bazana, whose relay you saw there. Pulled Stevens off the bag. If that throws right on the money, there's a chance that they get Pete Crow Armstrong. Instead, he has his team's 3rd hit. That's already the 2nd triple we've seen in the first 3 innings of this game. And the lefties continue with Hassel, who singled in the first, taking ball 2 high. First time the Americans have had a runner past first base. 2-0, grounded weakly, right side. It's gonna be a race to first, and he wins it, does McDonald, for the out that ends the inning. So each team has now stranded a runner on 3rd through the first 3 innings, and that's a big reason why we're scoreless going to the 4th.
타자 화수 공격 4번 타자 에이스 코너 마일스.
Top of 4th inning. Now batting number 31, right field, Connor Miles.
Cleanup man Connor Miles leads off for the Aussies. Team with 2 hits after 3 innings. A scoreless game, a right-hander on the hill, Max Rajic, whose fastball has been as high as 94 miles per hour in the first 3 innings. That one outside. Ball 1. 1-1 after the high foul ball. Rajic committed to go to UCLA after his senior season, assuming he winds up going to school. This American program has produced a lot of early round draft picks, kids who get drafted right out of high school and sign with an MLB organization. And here's a slow roller to short. Not an easy play for Tolentino. He gets it there in time though. Nice play on the move for out number 1.
5번 타자 진경스 Salomon Mcguire.
We should mention too that there is video instant replay available to the managers. Every manager has 1 challenge they can use. If they're correct in challenging a call, if they get it overturned, they get to keep the challenge. If they don't get it right, they lose the challenge. So in the early innings, you see a lot more reluctance on the part of the managers to go to the challenge. Chopper back to the mound, and 2 quick outs for Rajic. That one wasn't pretty, but they get the job done. Mcguire is out. He's the one who flew out to the wall in center field when Pete Crow Armstrong robbed him of extra bases in the second. This one got a little dicey for Rajic and McLean. You saw the facial expression, a little cock of the head. What you didn't see was some fancy footwork from Nolan McLean at first base to make sure that he kept the bag, took the throw in, and avoided a collision with McGuire. And now it's quickly 0-2. 2 strikeouts in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third. Rajic looking for number 5 today. His 0-2 pitch fouled. Pretty good contact, really, from Armstrong there. Pounding the strike zone, 37 strikes among his 53 pitches. Another 0-2, this one spiked in, perhaps even with some intent. But it's been a disciplined Australian squad, not only today, but throughout this tournament. One, two, fouled back into the screen. Good 2-strike approach from Byron Armstrong. He went down looking in the second inning. And he'll go down looking to end the top of the fourth. 5 strikeouts for Rajic, including 3 cold third strikes through 3.5. Still no score. The Americans coming up in just a moment.
리그 공격 3번 타자 윈스 AJ Vukovich.
Bottom 4th inning. Now batting number 30. Right field, AJ Vukovich.
Heart of the order coming up for the United States in the bottom of the 4th inning on a steamy Thursday afternoon. See that gorgeous backdrop, the mountains, the mist. It's all working here today. First game of the Super Round, a good one, no score. And a strike out of the left hand of Liam Mccallum against AJ Vukovich, who grounded out to short to end the first. Vukovich has pitched for the United States already in this tournament, as well as collecting 6 hits with the bat in his hands. 1-1 now, he'll step out and think about it. 6 hits and 23 trips, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs. The Americans scoring 39 runs over the course of 5 games in the opening round, and a little bit of a chase there for strike 2. A lot of off-speed stuff from Mccallum, who's scattered those 3 hits across his 3 innings of work, 1 in each. 1-2, low and away. Even the fastball from Mccallum is really more like what these U.S. hitters are used to seeing as an off-speed pitch. The fastball only up in the low 80s. That brings the changeup down in the low 70s. And a pop-up goes back out of play here. The count holding it 2-2. There is another Super Round game in progress right now. Highly anticipated matchup between Chinese Taipei and Korea. Chinese Taipei has a 3-0 lead in that game in the bottom of the second. 2-2. Line drive out to left field, but that hangs up there for Jalen Ray. It's amazing how we saw such a great level of parity in the opening round, as you got a good look at the changeup grip there. But everybody, with the exception of Australia, beat each other, it felt like, once in the opening round. At least among the super round teams, this one's high. For example, the United States coming in with a 1-1 record. They beat Chinese Taipei, but they lost to Japan. Korea, a 1-1 record. They beat Canada, but they lost to Australia. That was a great game, the Korea-Australia game. It was Saturday night, the second night of the opening round, over at Field 1. It was a standing room only capacity crowd in prime time, and the final score was 1-0. 1-1 pitch. Rolled foul for strike two. The only thing that you could really find fault with in that game is the fact that the only run scored was unearned. The man who scored, and I'll have to dig through the notes, can't remember off the top of my head who it was for Australia, had reached on a dropped pop fly. He was brought home on a single to center. Korea's defense really let them down that Saturday night. They committed 4 errors and just couldn't bring home anybody, though they did have the tying run in scoring position in the 9th. Another instant classic shaping up here for Australia, and another 1-2 pitch. This one grounded to second. Backhanded by Bazana, 2 down. First time that Liam Mccallum has gotten the first 2 hitters in an inning, and he'll look for his first 1-2-3 frame with Nolan McLean, the first baseman, coming up. A strikeout victim in the second. He's the only strikeout victim of Mccallum to this point in the affair. Ball 1. High with ball 2. With the wind having shifted now, it started the game blowing basically straight out to center field. Now it's blowing across the field right to left. Partly because of that, partly because of the bat of McLean. The outfielders are really shaded towards left field, left center on the part of Mcguire. And there's tons of room down the right field line with Connor Miles almost playing right center. A left-handed batter on deck, a 3-0 pitch. In for a strike. McLean looked like he was taking all the way. I don't think he'll be taking another, though, if he likes it. What a good 3-0 pitch. Now the exhale ahead of the 3-1. And that'll be a walk. It's the first base on balls today. And a little bit of 2-out life for the United States with Colby Halter coming up.
Number 17, third base, Colby Halter.
Down and in, and this is the first time we've seen Mccallum really struggle with his command. He'd just been living in the zone here until these last 2 batters. Still just 14 balls among his 44 pitches today, and he gets back into the at-bat, 1-1. A little bit further away. Halter, a University of Florida commit. Swings and chops it foul back. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Not only does he plan to go to the University of Florida, if he goes, he's a Florida boy from Jacksonville. Playing at Bishop Kenny High School. I'm sure we've got a few folks associated with Bishop Kenny tuning in. Big moment here for Halter, trying to extend the 4th. He's doing a good job forcing that pitch count up, fouling off some good 2-strike pitches. All of a sudden, Mccallum's up at 50 pitches after his next one. What a well-pitched game on both sides. Scoreless with 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th. A runner on first. And another 2-2. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Second K for Mccallum today. We will go to the 5th. Still scoreless in Gijang.
발차 허세 공격, 초반 타자 1루수 리암 맥도날드.
The 5th inning. Now batting number 44, first base, Liam McDonald.
Playing beneath blue skies in Gijang, Korea, going into the 5th inning. Which pitcher will give an inch first? Max Rajic and Liam Mccallum going toe-to-toe, putting up nothing but zeros through 4. First pitch swinging. Liam McDonald sends it to center, and he has a hit taken away by Pete Crow Armstrong. That's 2 now that Armstrong has taken away from Australian hitters. He went up to take extra bases away from Salomon Mcguire in the 2nd. He gets down to take extra bases away from Liam McDonald here to start the 5th. Nobody likes it more than Max Rajic, who with 1 pitch has 1 out and then goes up 0-1 on Jake Burns. Burns singled leading off the 3rd. He wound up stranded on 2nd. Australia with a base runner in the 1st, 2 base runners in the 3rd, and now a 1-1 pitch. That tight breaking ball, and the count's 1-2. Rajic doesn't mess around. He just gets the ball back, goes right back into it. That one finishing down low. The numbers he put up this past season, pitching in one of the most competitive regions for high school baseball in the USA, was just amazing to look at. In 63 1/3 innings, he put together a 0.55 earned run average. And now he strikes out Burns. And that's 6 strikeouts today. He only had 2 in his start earlier in the week in the opening round against Chinese Taipei. Earned the victory, going 5+. But he's missing a lot of bats, and he's really grooving now. He's sat down 6 straight. But this one is lined into center field. And there goes that. Stevens with the 2-out hit. And he's had a really nice day in the 9 slot. A sacrifice bunt in the 3rd, a single here to extend the top of the 5th. And what's interesting is that Joe Stevens wasn't even in the original starting lineup penned by Steve Fish. He was a really late addition, about a half an hour before game time. Alex Skepton, who was originally slotted 9th for Australia, replaced by Stevens. That forced a bevy of changes onto the lineup card. It forced 3 position changes because Skepton was going to play center field. Throw to first, really close. Stevens able to dive back in, sneak the hand in safely. Travis Bazzana waits for the 1-0, and that's a really good pitch. It's 1-1. Connor Miles was originally in the game at first base. He's playing right field. Salomon Mcguire, originally penciled in as the right fielder, is the center fielder. McDonald, who's been playing first base today, was originally supposed to play third, all because Stevens was added to the lineup. And now a ball flown to left center. And Pete Crow Armstrong had to reach up over his head to make the catch for the out that ends the top of the 5th. A man left on first, and 4.5 scoreless innings in the books.
오늘날 미국 공격 수동 타자 배슬 조르고
The United States looking to break through and score first as we enter the bottom of the 5th inning in a scoreless game. This one's been as even as they come. 3 hits aside, no errors, and lots of good pitches from both Liam Mccallum and Max Rajic. Now you hear the noise starting to pick up a bit coming out of the dugouts. Drew Romo, the catcher, leading off. Romo swings and fouls it off the end of the bat. 1-1. I thought that sounded like a broken bat. Drew Romo comes out with a fresh piece of wood. From Spring, Texas. A veteran of this national team program. He swings and rips it into left field, a base hit. A leadoff single, a 4th hit for the Americans, and for the first time, that's the leadoff man aboard. That one stayed up a little bit higher than Liam Mccallum would have liked. And he paid the price for it. You just can't afford to make mistakes against so many of these hitters. Tolentino shows bunt, but the ball gets away from Burns and on to second goes Romo. The best opportunity yet today for the United States. A man on second, nobody out. And there's still a lot of reasons that you might ask Tolentino to bunt. Trying to get that man to third with less than 2 outs. Third baseman Joe Stevens in on the grass. Tolentino, meanwhile, taking ball 2 away. The thing with a bunt up the third base line right now is that Byron Armstrong, the shortstop's basically playing right behind the runner. You see him there. And a pop fly out to left field. It's caught by Ray, and that's huge for Liam Mccallum. I'm really surprised that Milan Tolentino wasn't asked to bunt right there, especially because he looked as if he wanted to when Romo was on first. Then Romo winds up on second after just 1 pitch. But the bunt taken off, and now Hunter Haas will try and find his own way to, at the very least, move Romo to third, if not score him. Give the United States the game's first lead. Good pitch, strike 1. A look back. The 0-1 down and in. We haven't seen a lot of those swings and misses against Mccallum. And a big reason why is because we haven't seen a lot of guys expand the strike zone like Haas just did there. Last time up, he popped out to second. And now he lays off the breaking ball in the dirt. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Great take, 3-2. Pete Crow Armstrong waiting in the on-deck circle. Big pitch here on its way. Lifted in the air, out to right field, not particularly deep. Miles has it, and he'll come up gunning for third. There was just no way that Drew Romo could advance. And he remains on second following his leadoff single and the wild pitch that followed on the very next pitch. And wouldn't you know it, Pete Crow Armstrong, who you could argue has had the best day of anybody not named Max Radjic for the United States, comes up in a big moment. He has tripled already. He's made 2 outstanding catches in center field. He crowds the plate. He waits. And he takes ball 1 up high. After the 5th inning ends, we take about a 5-minute break to allow the grounds crew to address the field. If you can grab a lead before that break, it really helps you carry the momentum into what is essentially the second half of the game. It feels almost like a halftime break, not something that most Americans are used to in baseball, Australians either for that matter. But it's standard practice all around Asia to take a break after the 5th inning to work on the field. 1-1. Swung on and missed. The fastball that sits at about 130 kilometers per hour, that sits at 81 miles per hour, has been enough for Mccallum so far to keep this game scoreless. He's ready with a 1-2. That's caught and missed for strike 3. Third strikeout from Mccallum. Romo stranded at second, and we are off to the break and then on to the 6th with no score on field 2 on day 1 of the Super Round at this 2019 WBSC U-18 Baseball World Cup.
엑기자 허즈 공격 2번 타자 사익스 제일린 레이.
Top of sixth inning. Now batting number 5, left field, Jalen Ray.
That's the second pitch of the top of the sixth. The first a ball, the second a strike. It's 1-1. Here comes pitch number 70 for Max Rajic, and it's fouled by the right-handed hitting Jalen Ray. He's had a really fine day in the 2 slot, a triple in the first inning. A ball he hit to the right center field gap. He's been aboard twice. The second time he was hit by a pitch, but now a 1-2 that's hit on the ground and into left field. So how about it? Jalen Ray, 2 for 2, and he sets the table for Australia here in the 6th as they look to break a scoreless tie in what has been a simply stellar start to the Super Round. A scoreless ball game after 5. I'm Craig Durham here in Gijang, Korea. Glad to have you with me for these 2 teams' first Super Round game, and one which features an unbeaten Australian team actually atop the Super Round standings, playing for a chance to really put everybody else at a big disadvantage if they can win this game today and go to 3-0. Mathematically it wouldn't happen, but it would all but assure Australia a chance to play for at least 3rd place and give them an opportunity to win maybe one of the next 2 games for a chance to advance to the World Championship game, which will be played Sunday night. They are an underdog, no doubt about it, as this one's flicked out towards left and hauled in by Hassel. And that's a big bounce back from Rajic as he's able to keep Ray on first. The United States, meanwhile, are playing here to go to 2-1. And the United States is the 4-time defending world champion at this U-18 level. Their team so strong 2 years ago in Thunder Bay, Ontario, that of its 20 players, 10 became first-round draft picks. In the following years, Major League Baseball first-year player draft. It was just a dream team. And they weren't ever really in jeopardy of even losing a game. They just rolled through that tournament, but it's been a different story here so far. Some tight victories and even a loss. Something that hadn't happened since the 2015 U-18 World Cup to United States U-18 squad. A look at Ray back in safely. He was dancing off towards second as ball 2 missed. A little bit up and in on the left-handed hitting Connor Miles. Now 3-0 on Miles. Things are getting busy down in the United States bullpen. Out in the left field corner. The pitch count climbing. 3-0. A good one. Miles struck out facing Rajic in the first inning. Grounded out to short in the 4th. Australia's last appearance at a World Championship game at the U-18 level was in 2010, where they fell to Chinese Taipei, a team that's also playing right now, and a team that leads Korea 3-1. They're in the bottom of the 3rd inning over at Field 1. Payoff pitch. Grounded softly to first. That'll be enough to get Ray to second. Miles retired, 3 unassisted. And for the 3rd time in these first 6 innings, Australia has a man in scoring position. Salomon Mcguire given the 2-out RBI opportunity. 0 for 2 with a deep fly out to center field. And a bouncer back to the mound. So everything's gone up the middle. Now he rolls it softly towards the first base dugout, strike one. Through Max Radjick's first 20 pitches or so, we saw almost exclusively fastballs, but he's been mixing in a lot more breaking balls since then. Now he'll spin back and look at Ray. Missing low, the count goes to 1-1. We told you about the sparkling earned run average of 0.55 accumulated over 63 1/3 innings when he went 8-1 this past season pitching for Orange Lutheran in Southern California. He struck out 78, walked 14, and can field his position as he makes the play that probably keeps this game scoreless. If that sneaks by him, it's into center field, and Australia takes the lead instead. The United States comes up in the bottom of the 6th. Still, 0-0.
이렇게 미국 공격 이번 타자 저엑스 로버트 해슬.
Bottom of 6th inning. Now batting number 9, left field, Robert Hassel.
The 2, 3, and 4 hitters, Robert Hassel, A.J. Vukovich, and Tyler Soderstrom, will do what they can to get the scoring started. No runs, 4 hits, no errors for both teams after 5 1/2. A foul tip for strike one. Robert Hassel from Franklin, Tennessee. The left fielder lays off the sweeping breaking ball. It's 1-1. This team's been together for just over a month, or nearly a month, I guess, as it's ripped foul. They came to Asia about a week before this tournament started, and they did that for a couple of reasons. There's the obvious reason of getting a head start on the biological adjustments that need to be made to reset your body clock when you're, in some cases, 16 hours outside of your home time zone. Which reminds me to wish a pleasant good evening to those tuning in on the west coast of the United States. And happy to have some night owls with us from the East Coast, as this one's low. And the count runs full 3-2, so they came to Asia to start the biological reset. They also got a chance to play against the Chinese Taipei team in some pretty good exhibition games. Close pitch, 3-2, call ball 4. And it's a leadoff walk-in for the second time in the last 2 innings. The leadoff man is on for the U.S.
Right field, A.J. Vukovich.
A little bit low. Two walks from Mccallum today. He's allowed a single base runner in all 6 innings he's worked. And now Vukovich will head up after having a brief word with his manager, Jack Leggett. and outside, ball one. We've seen 2 bunt attempts from the United States today in the first 2 innings, and neither went well. I wouldn't expect to see one here. You get into the heart of the lineup now. We've also seen a pickoff already, and it was Hassel who was picked off after his 1-out single in the first inning. That allowed Mccallum to face the minimum in the first. He's faced 4 in every inning since. His curveball misses. He's fallen behind Vukovich 2-0. The United States as a team has stolen 6 bases at this World Cup. Hassel's only taken 1 of those 6. He's also been caught stealing. And now things starting to perhaps get away from Mccallum after a leadoff walk, a 3-ball count to Vukovich. And though I don't have an angle to see very well, looks like they're stirring in Australia's bullpen. Meanwhile, Mccallum with a strike. His pitch count approaching 80. A look at first, a 3-1 pitch, and it'll go to 3-2. The long-legged right fielder from Wisconsin. He's grounded out to short, flown out to left. Big 3-2, runner goes, ground ball hit to third. And by sending Hassel, the United States able to avoid a potential double play. And they certainly avoid having their lead runner cut down at second, so a great time to send the runner. A man at second with 1 out. You saw that quick glance by Joe Stevens over to second base, but he only had 1 play to make. And here's Tyler Soderstrom. The DH singled in the second, grounded out softly to second base in the fourth. And he bounces one hard towards Australia's dugout for strike 1. We know Hassel has really good speed, so a ball hit to the outfield, you certainly have to look towards home plate and see if he goes. Quickly, 0-2. To that end, trying to score on a single. He's gotten a good secondary lead on each of these last 2 pitches. And it's a time in the game, bottom of the 6th inning, where you start to think about taking chances you might not have taken earlier. Seeing how few base runners the United States has had. Now an 0-2. And a fly ball, pretty well hit, out to left center field, going back on it. Mcguire, he's there. He crosses onto the warning track to make the catch. Tagging and going from second to third is Hassel. So smart base running has Hassel on third after a leadoff walk, a ground out, and a fly out to deep left center field. We know Mcguire can move out there in center. He made an outstanding running grab to end the game in the 1-0 win against Korea. Strike 1 comes in to Nolan McLean, who has yet to put the ball in play. He struck out and walked. That running grab back on Saturday night from Mcguire was in right center field. If he hadn't have hauled it in, Korea would have tied the game in the bottom of the 9th. Now it's a ball and a strike. Here's the 1-1. A little bit high. Line drive, center field, and that'll give the United States a 1-0 lead. Nolan McLean, the first baseman, with his third RBI of the tournament. He ripped it. The first hit of the inning, the 5th of the game. And Liam Mccallum now needs to limit the damage and get out of this 6th inning with his team down by just 1. But here's a ball driven to center. Mcguire turns his back and watches it bounce high off the wall. His throw comes in, gets cut off, and sent to the plate. And out at home plate is Nolan McLean. Well played in center by Mcguire, a great relay throw and no contest at home plate. But the United States breaks through and scores first. Will go to the 7th. The USA on top of Australia, 1-0.
스트레처 호주 공격 6번 타자 이격수 바이런 암스트롱.
Top of 7th inning. Now batting number 6, shortstop, Byron Armstrong.
There's a look at the man who put the United States ahead 1-0. The RBI single with 2 outs from Nolan McLean, and now Max Rajic pitching with the lead today. Gets ahead 0-1, dealing with Byron Armstrong, who made a great throw to home plate to end the inning and now grounds to his counterpart, Tolentino. And it's quickly a 1 out at bat for Liam McDonald.
First base, Liam McDonald.
Nice throw from Tolentino. And Rajic, who was retired 4 straight after giving up Jalen Ray's leadoff single last inning, gets ahead of McDonald 0-1. Liam's flown out to right, he's flown out to center. And he takes a curveball for ball 1. That fly out to center in the 5th. Saw Pete Crow Armstrong go down and get one off the turf. And it is turf around the field, not natural grass. One of the 4 ballparks at this facility has natural grass. That's Stadium 1, where Chinese Taipei currently leads Korea 3-1. Now a strike poured in and a 2-2 count on McDonald. Back into motion. And did it hit him? It did. And with 2 strikes, Rajic loses McDonald. That's a 1 out base runner for Australia. There's really a year-round baseball schedule for almost all of these American players. Same can be said of most of these Australian players. For example, you look at a guy like Rajic, no stranger to this 18U national team. Part of the team that won gold at last year's Pan Am Championship, the Copabe Pan Am Championship. He's part of the National Team Development Program. And he's 1-1 with Jake Burns, the catcher, who lined a single off him into center field in the 3rd and then struck out swinging in the 5th. Now a toss over to first. Rajic, part of the Perfect Game USA developmental program. So many of these guys play with developmental organizations. As we get a ground ball here, hit to second. They get the out there and turn it over to first. We'll talk more about that when we get to the bottom of the 7th. The United States with some great defense after the run that broke the scoreless tie. They'll come up looking to build on a 1-0 edge.
화제의 41지가 있겠습니다. 태세 블랙 카드.
Now coming into pitch for Team Australia, number 37, Blake Cavill.
Now all of a sudden the Aussies are up against it. They've got just 6 outs left to play with, and the United States comes to bat with a 1-0 lead, looking for more. They'll send up Drew Romo to lead off the bottom half of the 7th inning. Romo, another guy like Rajic, who was part of the gold medal team at the Pan Am Games last year, the Copabe Pan Am champion United States squad. Part of the national team development program, also plays in a developmental program, part of the Program 15 group. He and some of his teammates, part of the Program 15 group. These guys just do not have any time where they're not playing baseball. And it's part of the reason why the United States at this level is so dominant. And an 0-2 pitch here is low, as we've got a new Australian pitcher on the mound. The righty is Blake Cavill. Cavill with an offset stance, pitching from the stretch, has this one hit hard and foul past the first base bag. Romo singled leading off the 5th inning, and he wound up on second with nobody out. It really looked like the United States was poised to take a lead in the 5th. But Liam Mccallum was able to wiggle his way out of the jam, and now a nice pitch from Cavill for strike 3. It was a good time for Steve Fish to go to the bullpen. You got an amazing start from Mccallum, but he was being hit hard in the 6th inning in a way he hadn't been through the first 5. And now you look to Cavill to give an entirely different look to these United States hitters, and it pays off immediately. With the called 3rd strike on Romo. We'll get you the final numbers on Mccallum in a minute. Right now, he stands to take a very tough luck loss. Pitch missing away there, moves the count to 1-0 on Milan Tolentino. He flew out to right and flew out to left in his 2 looks at Mccallum. But he's ahead now, 2 balls and no strikes. Tolentino from Mission Viejo, California. Chopper off the dish, foul. Base is empty, 1 out. And a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Back-to-back 2-out hits untied this game just a short while ago. Nolan McLean drove in Rob Hassel and Then a double from Colby Halter nearly plated McLean. Now a strikeout of Tolentino gives us 2 away in the bottom of the 7th. What a job by Cavill coming in and dealing. You see that arm slot. I'm not sure what that ball was doing bouncing behind home plate. You probably saw it on the replay there. No clue where it came from. Just watching the glove get popped time after time here from Blake Cavill. Struck out Romo looking, Tolentino swinging, and now gets set for an 0-1 to Haas. And it's grounded softly left side. Stevens to first, and 1-2-3 goes the United States in the bottom of the 7th. For the first time, they send just 3 batters to the plate since all the way back in the 1st inning. We'll go to the 8th, and the Aussies need to get going offensively. They trail this game 1-0.
타르자 호주 공격 9번 타자 3루수 조 스티븐스.
Top of 8th inning. Now batting number 4, third base, Joe Stevens.
Australia will begin the 8th inning at the bottom of the lineup. Joe Stevens, the late addition to the starting lineup, is 1 for 1. He's dropped down a successful sacrifice bunt and singled. Max Rajic starts him with a curve and gets ahead. 0-1. His 94th offering. A half-hearted swing and strike 2. Now, I'm guessing that Rajic has about 10 more pitches in him today, because once you throw 105, you're shut down for a mandatory 3-day rest period. So if he throws 105, he won't be able to pitch again in the tournament. If he throws 104, he could come back, not tomorrow, but either Saturday or Sunday, and I would guess he wouldn't pitch until Sunday, if he would ever pitch again. As he strikes out Stevens here. That's his first strikeout since he got Burns swinging in the 5th. He's still got something left in the tank. Sunday, only 4 teams will play. There'll be 2 games, whereas 6 games are on the docket today, tomorrow, and Saturday. As the top 4 finishers in the Super Round standings on Sunday. Bazana, the left-handed hitting leadoff man, down 0-1. He's grounded out, struck out, and flown out. A lot of activity in the left-handed batter's box. He tries to bunt it and falls behind 0-2. The fastball still getting in at 146 or 91 miles per hour. As Rajic pitches with 1 out in the 8th. His last outing, he went 5 1/3. That was in a win over Chinese Taipei. The look through the glove. The 0-2. Good pitch down and in. Great 2-strike pitch. Jalen Ray's on deck for now, the 1-2, and Bazana swings right through it. Back-to-back strikeouts to start the 8th for Rajic.
2번 타자 제익스 제일린 힐.
Now batting number 5.
And he'll have have one more chance to do away with Jalen Ray, something he has not been able to do today. Ray tripled in the first, a line drive to right center. He was hit by a pitch in the third, and he singled in the sixth inning, spiked in ball one. The single split Tolentino and Halter on the left side of the infield. .1-0 fastball up high, 2-0. Ray, in addition to his two-hit day, has made a really nice sliding catch out in left field, trying to spark a two-out rally here. And it's 3-0. And it looks like this will be the last outing of the tournament for Radjic as he gets ready to throw pitch 105. And he throws it for a strike. He can go as long as he wants today, but with 3 mandated days of rest forthcoming, this will be it. Boy, has it been special. 3-1 pitch. Line shot, foul. And a full count, 3-2. Radjic hasn't given up a hit since Ray's leadoff single in the sixth. The payoff. It hits him. And that's the second time today that Jalen Ray's been hit. It's the third batter hit by a Max Radjic pitch today. And Jack Leggett comes out of the American dugout, and with young American players trickling out behind him, you get the sense that they're out to congratulate Max Radjic on a job well done. He hands off the baseball to his skipper, and the United States goes to the bullpen, 4 outs away from victory. It's 1-0 with 2 away and a man on first.
미국의 선수 교체가 있겠습니다. 태세의 제이슨 사바코.
Now coming in to pitch for Team USA, number 28, Jason Savakul.
A look at Max Radjic. And now a look at his successor, if that's a word, Jason Savakul. Savakul inherits a base runner and 2 outs in the top of the 8th inning. What a ball game we've got going here on the first afternoon of Super Round action. 1-0. The tying run on first. Savakul, the right-hander from Syracuse, New York, goes to work against the 3-hole hitter Chris Burke for Australia, and the first one is up for ball 1. Burke a strikeout and 2 flyouts so far. I think what I meant to say is Max Radjic's successor, Jason Savakul from Syracuse, New York, gives up a fly ball to center field. Crow Armstrong going back on it, and it's high off the wall. This will tie the game, and it almost looked like it hit the yellow stripe. It's 1-1. The umpires are going to get together and have a look. That might have been a 2-run homer. Chris Burke mashing it up into the wind. And the umpires are going to have a look here. They can ask for the replay themselves since it's after the 8th inning. That ball was gone. Off the yellow fence. They give him the home run. It's 2-1 Australia. What a stunning turn of events with 2 outs here. Savakul comes in and has that pitch blasted to center field. It's really tough to tell in real time with that secondary fence built atop the original 8-foot wall. But there is really no doubt that that one bounced on top and then came back onto the field of play. I think it landed on top and then came back, but we'll see. It's been ruled a home run. Or no, it hasn't. They sent him back to second. There was a lot of confusion. Initially, he stopped at second. Did it hit the wall or did it hit the top of the wall and then bounce back in? The batter's eye doesn't make it any easier to tell. And they'll take a long look at this one. But again, after the 8th inning, the managers don't have to challenge it. And it's a double. And it's a 1-1 game. First he stopped at second, then he came in, touched home plate, and was mobbed by his teammates, then sent back to second. And it's a great call. I don't know how you see that in real time with all the variance between blue, black, and yellow in center field. Man, what a crush from Chris Burke. And Jack Leggett's back out of the dugout, and he's going back to the bullpen. So a forgettable outing for Jason Savakul, who comes in and throws 2 pitches and watches his team's lead evaporate. There will be no win for Rajic today. We will tell you about the new pitcher in just a moment. A brand new game, 1-1 in the top of the 8th.
일국의 선수 교체가 있겠습니다. 타자 알레한드로 로자리오.
Now coming into pitch for Team USA, number 6, Alejandro Rosario.
Looking at Chris Burke, the 18-year-old from Melbourne, Victoria, who just tied the game with a double off the very top of the center field wall. And now it's the cleanup hitter, Connor Miles, trying to plate him and give Australia their first lead of the day. The new pitcher, the flamethrower Alejandro Rosario. His first pitch is at 93 for strike 1. Final line on Max Rajic, 7 2/3, 4 hits, 1 run. It was earned. He didn't walk anybody, but he hit 3 batters, including Jalen Ray, with 2 outs in this top half of the 8th inning. That's what allowed the inning to continue. He struck out the first 2 he faced before he plunked Ray, and then this happened. When Savakul came into the game, high off the center field wall. It almost sat on top of the center field wall before bouncing back in. But now Rosario's ahead of Miles. And after a long hold, he'll spin and throw to second. That one very nearly wound up in center field. It landed on the back of the diving base runner. Oh, he's lucky. Really lucky it hit Chris Burke. Because otherwise, Burke might be on third. And Rosario knows it. The right-hander from Miami, Florida, has pitched in this tournament already. And now he's coming home with an 0-2 that's fouled back. Good plate coverage from Miles. In his previous outing, Rosario gave up 3 hits and a run in 4 innings. He struck out 3. That was in the U.S.'s comeback win over Spain. Another 0-2. A chopper off home plate towards first. And that's a fair ball, and it just about skipped past Nolan McLean. He somehow found a way to see it into the glove and step on the bag. The side retired, but the damage done by Australia. This game is tied at 1, going to the bottom of the 8th.
파리발 리그 공격 1번 타자 정선수 핏 크로 앞서.
Bottom of 8th inning. And batting number 21, center field, Pete Crow Armstrong.
The Super Round is underway at this WBSC U-18 Baseball World Cup. The 4-time defending champions from the United States getting all they can handle from your Super Round leaders, Australia. 1-1 as we go to the bottom of the 8th with the top of the American lineup. And Pete Crow Armstrong leading off with ball 1. Blake Cavell, who needed just 12 pitches to retire the side in order in the 7th, falls behind 2-0. Haven't seen a lot of 2-0 counts. Pete Crow Armstrong already with a triple today, swings and sends this one high in the air, right side of the infield. Really high up in the air, but it lands in Bazana's glove, and that's out number 1. Australia tied this game with a double off the top of the wall in center field that was nearly a home run that would have put them ahead 2-1. The batter's eye that's back behind the center field wall looks like it's touching the wall. In fact, there's a gap between the two. I thought it had bounced off the batter's eye and come back in. And now it's strike 1 on Robert Hassel, who's been aboard twice, and he's scored the lone American run as he foul tips this one for strike 2. A check swing, and it just found the red part of the bat. Hassel walked leading off the 6th, and now he swings and chops it foul. Still 0-2. This is the 3rd appearance of the tournament for Cavell. He worked on opening day, and he suffered the loss on opening day, and he was really upset after that outing. 0-2. Fouled straight back into the screen. He came into the game against Nicaragua when it was tied at 1, and he gave up 2 runs, 2 unearned runs, albeit. In the top of the 9th, he gets another ground ball, this one to second. So 2 strikeouts, 2 groundouts, the pop out, he's sent down all 5 he's faced. And now AJ Vukovich.
Number 30, right field. AJ Vukovich.
Try and start something for the United States, a team that just a few minutes ago was feeling like they were on their way to a 1-0 win. And now that's very much a question to be answered over the, well, 9th inning and maybe beyond. Vukovich, 0 for 3, takes ball 1 down and in. If the U.S. loses this game, they fall to 1-2 in the Super Round standings. And their likelihood of playing for a world championship might be gone, depending on what happens later today and tomorrow. A win for Australia, meanwhile, they go to 3-0 in the Super Round standings, and a world championship berth becomes almost likely. Hard to believe this Australian team almost didn't make it into the Super Round. It's funny how things work out. There are 2 losses in the tournament to teams that didn't advance. 1-2 here, high in the air, well hit to left field. Ray back, right in front of the fence. He reaches up and brings it in. We're going to the 9th, tied at 1, Australia, with a chance to take the lead when we come back.
그러자 화제 공격 어반타자 중견수 솔로몬 맥과이어.
Now batting, number 10, center field. Salomon Mcguire.
All those zeros until the United States got on the board in the bottom of the 6th inning. Australia tying it with 2 outs in the 8th, and on we go into the 9th. A leadoff base hit for Australia. Mcguire's aboard, and that's the go-ahead run. Alejandro Rosario, who put out the fire in the 8th, got Connor Miles to ground out to first to end the inning. Made a pretty good pitch right there, but Mcguire was just able to flick it over the head of Colby Halter at third, and now we'll see what Byron Armstrong, the shortstop, does. He'll show bunt, and he'll get 1 down. And that ball is going to hop foul for a strike. It's a good thing for the United States that that ball went foul, because Mcguire didn't break stride. He was almost on third by the time it took its first hop and foul ground. Mcguire was flying, and there was a lot of spin on that ball, just like the one that Miles put in play when he grounded it softly to first, a ball that took a really sharp right-hand turn right before it got to Nolan McLean. McLean had to make a last-second adjustment. It almost Bill Bucknered him, got through him, and would have allowed a run to score. And a close play over at first. Back diving safely is Mcguire. This game is even as they come. 1 run, 6 hits, no errors for both teams. Again, Armstrong shows bunt. He pulls it back, takes it high. It's 1-1. And this bunt's popped up, and it bounces off the pitcher's glove. The throw to second, everybody's safe. You can't fault a kid for trying to make a diving play. That was the only way they were going to get an out, was if Rosario caught it on the fly. The only other option you have is to let it bounce and hope that it bounces foul. A bad bunt works out beautifully. And they almost got the lead runner, with Mcguire being forced to wait between first and second to see if the ball would be caught. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't know whether or not Rosario was going to haul it in, and if he did, then he was going to have to scamper back to first base to avoid the double play. Jack Leggett gathers his team together on the mound as the Australians have runners on first and second with nobody out, looking to take a lead in a ninth inning that could be the undoing of this United States squad. A team that came here expecting nothing less than a 5th consecutive world championship. Two soft singles. About 140 feet between them. Liam McDonald, the batter, the first baseman, who's 0 for 2. He shows bunt and drops down a beauty. Rosario has it, goes to third, they get the out. What a play by Alejandro Rosario. And it's still first and second for Australia, now with one out. Great stretch from Colby Halter. The bunt hit just a little too hard. And not on the right side of the mound. You really want to get that ball on the first base side. Jake Burns, the catcher. The only 16-year-old in either starting lineup. Strike one to him. That one 94 miles per hour. Rosario's already thrown one at 95 in this tournament. 0-2. He's thrown 196 in this tournament, as a matter of fact, which I believe is the fastest pitch we've seen here. A look back at second, a long hold, and 0-2, that's outside. The new lead runner is Byron Armstrong. He doesn't have quite the speed of Salomon Mcguire, but he can still score on a ball hit to the outfield. McDonald is behind him, reaching on the fielder's choice, failing to get down a successful sacrifice. 1-2. Burns in the air to center field. Pete Crow Armstrong camped out under it. And the throw goes to second. Nice job by Hunter Haas to block it. It was not a good throw from Pete Crow Armstrong. Here is Joe Stevens. That play by Rosario, the heads-up play, the strong throw to third, may just give the United States a chance to walk it off in the ninth. Australia, though, scored its run with 2 outs in the 8th. Stevens checks his swing. He's down 0-1. A sacrifice bunt in the 3rd, a single in the 5th. He struck out swinging in the 8th. And he pops this one up. Rosario wants it himself, but he's called off, and Nolan McLean takes it into the dugout with him. The United States survives the scare, and they'll come up looking to walk it off. It's 1-1 after 8.5.
2부 공격 4번 지명 타자 타일러 서더스로.
Bottom of ninth inning. Now batting, number 5, designated hitter.
Bottom of the ninth inning, the United States will send up 4, 5, and 6. Soderstrom, McLean, and Halter. The U.S. surviving a deep fly ball in the 8th inning. It looked like it was gone, but it was ruled an RBI double. A ball that bounced off the top of the center field fence. Came back in, and the pitch hits him. Soderstrom takes his base, and that's the game-winning run on first.
5번 타자 1루수 노란 맥클레인.
Now batting, number 13, first base, Nolan McCallum.
I think we're going to get a pinch hitter here for McLean, the guy who's driven in the only U.S. run. How about that for a deep bench? As Austin Hendrick comes in to make his first plate appearance of the day. I wonder if that's designed partly, obviously, to get their guy up there in Hendrick, the left-handed bat, but maybe just make Blake Cavill wait around a while. And now Cavill hits a man, he's in real trouble. 2 pitches, they both hit batters. And Steve Fish throws his hands up. He's not sure what to make of this start to the inning from Cavill, who had retired 6 in a row to start his outing. It hit him on the behind. And there's Cavill, who's had a tough 9th inning already in this tournament. And he'll have a moment to talk things over with his pitching coach, and not a bad guy to talk things over with is Graham Lloyd. Comes out of the dugout, the longtime Major League pitcher, the World Series champion with the New York Yankees. Obviously, Cavill's the guy that Australia feels comfortable with on the mound in late innings. That's why they turned to him with the game tied at 1 in the 9th on opening day against Nicaragua. He gave up 2 runs. They were unearned runs. Australia came back with 1 later on, but ultimately fell in that game by a final score of 3-2. That loss, though, didn't carry over into the Super Round standings because Nicaragua didn't advance. I wonder if Australia might think about protesting this game meanwhile. On that ball that was high off the wall, there's a batter's eye back there that makes it looks like it bounces off. We'll leave that conversation for another time, though, and just watch Colby Halter dig in. This could be the ball game if he's able to poke one through the infield, but he's bunting and he drops it down. The throw, nowhere to go with it. And you know what? That's not the worst thing for Jake Burns to just put that ball in his pocket.
7번 타자 타자 드로우.
Now batting, number 8, catcher, Drew Romo.
Drew Romo could be the hero now. The thing with that bunt and no play at first base, the bunt single for Halter, is that, let's just say the bunt wasn't as great as it was. You get him out at first, you probably issue an intentional walk anyway. Now a swing and a chopper foul. No margin for error. If Romo reaches by any means, this game is over and the Americans walk off winners, and their quest for a 5th consecutive U-18 World Cup championship continues. Here's the 0-1, and that's high and outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1 run, 7 hits, no errors for Australia. 1 run, 7 hits, no errors for the United States. Soderstrom, the lead runner, he wants to touch home plate to win the game. The 1-1 from Cavill. Grounded foul, it's 1-2. The set. The 1-2 pitch. Grounded to short, and that's the ball game. The U.S. walks off with a 2-1 win. And they are still in play as they make a run at a 5th straight U-18 World Championship. 2-1 your final score. Drew Romo the hero. And what a ball game to kick off the Super Round. Australia still alive. There's a two-way tie atop the Super Round standings. Both Australia and the United States are 2-1. They'll be joined in first place by the winner of the game between Chinese Taipei and Korea. The drawn-in infield, the outstretched glove of Armstrong, jubilation after Soderstrom touched home plate. The loss goes to Cavill, the win goes to Rosario, and this one will be remembered for a very long time. A perfect game on a big stage here in Gijang, Korea. The final line score, 2 runs on 8 hits with no errors for the United States. A run, 7 hits, no errors for Australia. And they'll get right back to it tomorrow afternoon. The United States again has the 12 o'clock time slot. They'll take on Canada. Well, the Aussies will regroup and take on Chinese Taipei at this same field at this same time, 12 o'clock noon. The winner of that game, Australia and Chinese Taipei, will be in good shape to play for some type of hardware come Sunday. Certainly hope you enjoyed the ball game, if not the result, Aussie fans, but this upstart team still very much alive and tied for first after the first day of the Super Round. That's it for now. We will pick things up here at Field 2 in a little while. You can catch the rest of the game between Chinese Taipei and Korea over at Field 1. Tyler Mond's on the call. And then tonight, he'll have the last Super Round game of the day as well, the game between Canada and Japan. I'll be back with Netherlands and Panama at 6 o'clock. Until then, this is Craig Durham saying so long from Gijang. Hope you enjoyed this one. It was fun. The United States takes the victory selfie after a 2-1 win.
The national anthems of Australia.
아니라고 헷갈려 하셔서 처음에 되게 많이 힘들었어요. 근데 어제 그 감독님 되게 친절하게 잘 알려주셨어요. 아, 네.